17 soldiers killed, 23 injured as terrorists attacked the military base in Kaduna. And also governors have met to discuss concerning the insecurity in Nigeria. Welcome to the program from the Dailies on Echo Television Africa, where we tend to look at various stories making the headlines from our Nigerian newspaper. I am Sele Elisha Dasham, and with me is Tosin Owolabi. Tosin, good morning.
Good morning, Sele.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Hope you're actually fit and better.
Yes, I am.
Looking at the insecurity, I mean, sometimes you just wake up in the morning and you begin to wonder what the day will look like, But we are trusting God that something great will happen. Looking at the fact that the governors are actually meeting to discuss and also the speaker, so we hope that something positive will actually come out from that discussion.
Yes.
Let's run through the papers and starting with the Guardian newspaper.
On the Guardian newspaper, why Kaduna is vulnerable to attack despite military presence. The writer says terrorists raid military base, kill 17 soldiers in Kaduna. Reps, Amechi, service chiefs meet, pledge to turn tide on insecurity. Nigeria bleeding, says Tinubu. And the army is saying we are reviewing security architecture to bridge gaps, build troops and resolve the issues. Members of the National Assembly yesterday resumed plenary, placing last week's terrorist attack on a Kaduna-bound train on the front burner, while the leadership of the House of Representatives held a closed-door meeting with service chiefs over recent upsurge in insecurity across the country. The Senate once again urged President Muhammadu Buhari to, as a matter of urgency, declare a full-fledged war on terrorists. Just as the lawmakers were engaged in a marathon meeting with service chiefs, the military base at Polwire in Gwari, Kaduna State was attacked by terrorists who killed no fewer than 17 soldiers and 3 civilians during a fierce gun battle. Experts in the security sector have identified key reasons military bases in northeast and northwest have suffered frequent attack by terrorists. If the presence of military institutions were to guarantee peace, safety and protection, Kaduna State will have emerged as the most peaceful and protected entity in Nigeria. Kaduna is blessed with not only the military establishment, but is also home to the largest number of respectable military institutions, making the state the envy of other parts of Nigeria. Unlike other states with the presence of one military base, a police command, and a few security outfits, Kaduna has no fewer than 13 military establishments spread across the state. There are no main institution and are managed by many top officials, and this is still as a result of the insecurity in Kaduna State and even in the nation at large. And we can see the service chiefs, they've met with the lawmakers to look out for ways they can resolve these issues of insecurity, especially in Kaduna State and even in the nation at large. And downside, PDP jettisons zoning, throws open contest for presidential tickets. Details can be found in page 2. Kyari rallies Nupeng, NATO, others to tackle crude oil theft. Court stops Edo April 19 council polls, and local operators lament persistent sideline by NCC. Confusion, anger as linked same users lament inability to make calls. And that's all on the Guardian newspaper.
Thank you, Tosin. Let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune, and we have political parties must conduct democratic primaries. INEC wants with the rider reminds them on the deadline for conduct of exercise. And to read more of that story, you can look that up on page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. 17 soldiers feared death, 23 injured as gunmen attacked the military base in Kaduna. Danjuma to chair Awolowo Foundation 30th anniversary seminar, and more of that story can be found on page 2. Kyari rally support of NUPEC, NITO and others to tackle the crude oil theft. Evil spirits dwell in minds of Nigerian politicians, and this is coming from Gani Adams. And to know more about that, you can check the story on page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. And the big story on the paper here said PDP autumn panel dumps zoning, throws presidential contest open with the rider Saraki, Tambuwal, Mohammed, Hayatuddin continue push for consensus PDP candidate meet Makinde. Reps prop crude oil production revenue generated in the last 6 months. Detail of that story can be found on page 2. 10 injured as 2 NURTW faction clashing on Ondo. Amoteku soldiers clash over arrest of cows in Ondo with the rider. It's a minor disagreement. We have resolved it, and this is coming from the commander of the Amoteku. 27 million pupils enrolled in primary school nationwide. This is coming from UPEC. And still under another big story here says West Africa faces worst food crisis. 27 million people suffering from hunger. 11 national organizations said. And international organizations said. And the writer following that story said another 11 million may be pushed into hunger in the next 3 months. Russia-Ukraine inflation hunger loom in Africa, ex-envoy wants. And to know more about that story, you can check that on page 2 and 21. And the last story on the paper I'll be taking says, lamentation as food household product price soar nationwide. And detail of that story can be found on page 20 and also page 21. I know too, so just to say a little about the food crisis, definitely there will be food crisis, because I know ever since the Russia-Ukraine crisis started, we were told about the inflation price of corn, wheat, and also other food items that we normally import from other nations. And we said it here in the program that this should be a time where the agri sector here in Nigeria will look into what can we do to make sure that we do not run into food crisis. If we say that we are among the nation that produces rice and also other food items, then it should tell in the life of every citizen. Even though I know with the adulteration of the fuel, it affected the food price. That till date we're trying to see if there's actually fuel in every filling station, and then if farmers will be able to, transport this food item to the market. But I think it's really something we need to do. What can we do as a nation to see that we boost that sector? And we said it here. I think it's high time we stop giving oil so much attention, even though it's one of the things that we depend on to boost our GDP. But agri is also another thing. I think just early the year, the Buhari administration launched the rice pyramid, which is the step towards seeing that we boost food production. But we should also look into what we can do so that we don't depend so much on other nations, and when they go into crisis, then it also tells on our food price. So I think this should be an eye opener for us. See what can we do, because it's already not just in Nigeria but even in other West African countries we're really going through that looking at food crisis. So I just hope that we'll open our eyes and see what we can do, and most especially to tackle insecurity, because if we're able to tackle that, farmers will be free to go to their farmer, because lots of people have abandoned their farmlands as a result of the insecurity. And even when you plant, your products are not safe in the farm. Why? Because it's either cattle or lots of things happen as a result of that insecurity. So let's see that we tackle the insecurity, and then we'll see that definitely our agri sector will be safe at the end.
Yes,
of the
and
day.
even in the bid to tackle this issue of the food crisis, CBN is giving out small loans to farmers on how they can thrive in the agricultural sector, how they can stand on their own, even to produce in the farm and even take it to this point of sale, that's the market, so that food can be available. Because we can't be tackling the issue of insecurity again and face the issue of malnutrition, face the issue of hunger, because hunger kills faster. And now looking at this issue, we just need to look at it how we can stand on our own, so I will not depend solely on other countries. Because now with this crisis, with the Russian-Ukraine crisis, it's affecting us even in terms of food. So if we can stand on our own, we should encourage our farmers. And just as you said, insecurity should be guaranteed to the farmers, so that they can go to the farm. We're approaching the rainy season where farming activities will start taking place. We just need the guarantee to be safe even at the farmland, so that people can go to their farmland and even have plant their seedlings and even look at their seedlings grow, because it's another thing to plant your seedlings and you see that the headers go there and destroy those crops. So we need the seedlings to be planted and even for them to grow and be harvested and taken to the farm so that food can be available and even the prices of food will be brought down, so that if everybody can have food, then we can look into other things, because you can't fight insecurity with an empty stomach, Sele. So we need to look into this. The agricultural sector also should look out for ways they can even give out seedlings to farmers and even help those people that are even in the areas where there's insecurities affecting them. We should encourage them on how to go to their farms, give them seedlings, give them fertilizers. We should encourage them to go to the farm, and this will help us even in the nation at large.
Exactly. That's all from the Nigerian Tribune.
And on sweet crude paper, FAAC is saying NNPC to remit 322 billion naira from Chevron, Shell, others this month. Nigeria gets quota raise from OPEC to produce 1.753 MBD in May. Reps want Nigerians as CEO of oil multinationals, seek amendment of NOGIDS Act. And Nupeng's alleges foul play in death of Chevron worker, asks for probe. And that's all on sweet crude paper.
A look at the Daily Independent newspaper. Anxiety as Tinubu scam slows mobilization after APC convention. We are laying low because of Ramadan and Lent. This is coming from Swagger. Terrorists attack Kaduna military base, kill 11 soldiers and injured 19. The big story here says the PDP zoning committee finally throws the presidential ticket open, with the rider Fayose resigns the committee membership over presidential ambition. Governors to hold emergency meeting on insecurity with state assembly speakers, and detail of that story can be found on page 29. And I actually hope that after holding this emergency meeting, it will not just be another meeting that will come and go without implementation being carried out, because we are actually tired of each time the Senate will sit down and discuss, members of the House of Rep will sit down and discuss, and at the end of the day it seems as if whatever recommendation they give just sit down on the table of the executive and nothing is being done about that. So I just hope that as the governors and the speakers are meeting, that something will be done at the end of it, because we are really tired. We could see that, and when they give a cross section of members of the house, but during the deliberation you could see that so much anger is coming out of them. But then it's not just about venting out that anger, but are we ready to take that anger to action? It's another thing for you to just be angry and sit down and talk, because talk is cheap. But it's another thing for you to take actions after making that meeting. So we just hope that after this emergency meeting is meeting, because we can see that if even the military base in Kaduna can be attacked, somebody will say, then where else is safe? If we are having Kaduna that is having most of the houses that houses almost every security agency, yet it's being attacked, then something is wrong somewhere. That means we are losing out on something, and we need to go back and think, what are we not getting right? We need to go back to the drawing board and see what can we do different than the way we've been doing. I don't believe that these terrorists can outsmart us. They're not that intelligent. I believe that, because they use the same tactics over and over again. So it's meant for us to go back and say, what can we do? What can we do? If we have competent hands, regardless of whether you are the chief of army staff or not, if you have men that can, contribute to that, let's have them. We already have people, bringing contribution, that if it means for us to bring the men who have served before, ex-servicemen, we should bring them back. If we can help Liberia to fight, we can help other African nations to fight into it, then what is wrong? Why can't we fight insecurity in our own nation? They are not beyond us. I always say that. So I just hope that after this meeting, something will be done. We had in the beginning, I think early this year, where the governor of Borno, the governor of Zamfara said they know what they're going to do. They should just give them a short period of time. Till date, we're still having these various states being attacked. So something needs to be done. So I just hope that after this meeting, we'll see actions
ventilated by these people, and the gingers reps are coming up with the Senate and even the service chiefs will be channeled into actions if the military can be given the go-ahead, since you have governors who said they know where these people are. If they can be given this go-ahead to bomb those places, because it's high time we tackle this issue of insecurity, and it's high time we go about this whole issue with the whole ginger and the whole force we are having, because it's really bringing us down and it's drawing us back, and it's not giving us a good face even in the foreign nations. We've had where foreign nations are saying they want to help us in tackling this issue of insecurity. They're interested in all these things if we can just adopt this measure. If we need to have the foreign mercenaries coming to help us in tackling this insecurity, we should give our all in all to tackle this issue, because with this insecurity, growth and development is really far from us, and it will be far from us. We just need to tackle this whole thing, and thank God by this Friday we're just hoping that the outcome will be positive on how they'll go about in tackling this issue, because we said it, someday, sometime, it will still get back to you, and it is getting back to them, because we are seeing stories that even the police stations, the military camps are not safe. Like, imagine the people you are depending on for security, they are not safe. So who do you expect people to run to? So we're just hoping that this meeting that will be held on Friday, the outcome will be channeled into action, because now we just need action. We need to see our military men all around. This is not time for them to sit in the office. We need them to give out their best in tackling this whole issue of insecurity, because we are tired of having stories every day where you see in a particular place people are being killed, in another place people are being killed, like on a daily basis. So our service chiefs, the reps, the Senate, and the different governors of the 36 states, including the FCT, are going to meet, and we just hope that this, whatever deliberation they come up with, actions will be the things that will follow after.
Exactly, Tosin. Other stories still on the Daily Independent. Nigeria is troubled. Obasanjo and others need to be consulted. This is coming from Okowa. And we have fertilizer scarcity causing low crop yield has been addressed, and this is coming from Buhari. Kyari rallies NUPEC, NETU and others support to tackle the crude oil theft. INEC vows to bar Electoral Act violators from the 2023 election, with the rider asks parties to conclude the primaries into offices in 61 days. Court bars Edo government from conducting local government polls. And the last story here, see custom promotes 3,466 officers. Detail of that story can be found on page 7. And I'm sorry, I have a picture story here that said the Senate have extended the 2021 budget implementation to May 31st. So you can look that up on page 6 of the Daily Independent. And that's all from the Daily Independent.
And on Al Jazeera midweek on 2021 budget implementation extend to May 31st. On Qatar 2022 World, FIFA snubs Nigeria, picks 8 other African referees. Details can be found in page 17. Federal government uncovers 1,500 civil servants with fake appointment letter. The federal government of Nigeria has uncovered 1,500 workers who joined the Federal Civil Service with fake appointment letters. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi Eson, made the disclosure in Abuja on Thursday. She stated that those identified will be removed from the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, which is the IPPIS. Yemi Eson spoke at the National Policy Dialogue on Entrenching Transparency in Public Office Recruitment in Nigeria. Over 1,000 persons were discovered in one ministry, while 500 others were found in other ministries, departments, and agencies. She said the IPPIS helped track fake employment, less efficient and unqualified government personnel. In the past year, in one ministry alone, over 1,000 individuals bearing fake letters of appointment were detected. The office recently received a report from the Federal Civil Service Commission of over 500 persons in various MDAs in possession of fake letter of appointment. Following the service-wide verification exercise for officers recruited from 2013 to 2020, the Commission also requested the suspension of salaries of over 3,000 officers across the MDAs. Yemi Eson disclosed that they failed to appear for the exercise and won't be paid pending further clearance. As of March, over 380,000 officers had been captured on IPPIS, 66,000 and 320,000 for core and non-core MDAs. Yemi Eson lamented how corruption thrives in recruitment processes and vowing that the government will clean up the system to reduce job seekers' contact with public officials. And this is narrowed down to corruption, even in getting job opportunities. We've had instances where you want a job, they tell you bring a certain amount of money and a fake appointment letter will be given out to you, just like how we had issues with our jam that you see people when they get to the point to go and serve, that's where they start having issues with their admission letter. And this is the same thing that is happening in employment letter. Because of the quest to get job, we see so many people out there saying, okay, bring a particular amount of money and this job is yours, and they are issuing out fake appointment letter. And now we can see that these people are affected, and we just hope that this woman that is in charge of the civil service will do something about it, fish out all those people who are out there giving out fake appointment letter. And also job opportunities should be created. If the sector can be wiped out, those people can be wiped out. Even those people that are on the payroll system and don't even go to work can be wiped out, so that opportunities can be opened for people. We have qualified people out there that are ready to work, people that are willing to work, but they don't have the opportunity to be given the avenue to work. So we just hope that something will be done about it in this sector on the civil service. And still following the news on Al Jazeera, on insecurity, governors, speakers to meet Friday as reps, service chiefs meet behind closed doors. I have political will to secure Nigeria. This is from Mogalu. Gunmen killed 2 in Anambra after governor's prayer session. And on DMO releases federal government 720 billion naira second quarter borrowing plan. PDP dumps zoning, throws presidential tickets open. Details can be found on page 8. Reps probe diesel, cooking gas prices hike. On 2023, INEC cautions political parties against crisis-ridden primaries. And that's all on Al Jazeera midweek.
Okay, let's take a look at what the Punch newspaper has for us. We have Nigerian bleeds Tinubu laments during Kaduna visit. SIM need deactivated subscribers, Storm Telecom outlet, queues rise. And we have more of that story on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. 7 train workers missing, loses heat, 80 million naira, 163 passengers unreachable. This is coming from the NRC. And Amo Agege asks aides to resign ahead of primaries. And you can look up that story on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. IG dismisses 9 policemen for spearheading planned strike. And we have more of that story on page 13. Nigerians import rise by 12.11 trillion naira despite the forex shortage. And the big story from the presidency, PDP panel dumps zoning, fears not voting strength, gives exegy of time as reason for throwing open the presidential ticket. Zoning committee's decision disappointing, hypocritical, Pendev Ohanize form. And we have PDP will lose with Northern candidate. This is coming from the MBF. And Okowa meets Obasanjo, decries Nigerians' woes. We have a picture story here, and where the reps will meet the service chief. The CDS seeks support against terrorism, and that's from the terrorists that are attacking. And we hope that whatever decision will be made will bring out something positive. 1,500 federal workers with fake appointment letter under probe. Abandoned project, Senate extend 2021 budget implementation to May 31st. Detail of that story can be found on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. And man bags life imprisonment for raping Unilag student. George slammed the victim. Unemployment looms as truckers lament 50% drop in cargoes. Detail of that can be found on page 26. Ogun church scatters as preacher dies during sermon against ritualists. And the last story here, accounts for 6-month oil production, reps orders NUPRC. And you can read more of that story on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. And that is all from the Punch newspaper. But before we go to other papers, we'd like to take a time out where we can open our phone lines for our callers to call us and let us know what your feel is or what your views are concerning any of the story that is of interest to you. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, the program is from the Dailies, and we've been looking at various stories making the headline from our Nigerian newspaper. We saw 11 soldiers being killed and 23 injured, and we also saw the fact that the reps, speakers, and also National House Speaker will be meeting with the governors to deliberate on insecurity that has been actually eating the nation. Where you can actually call us because our phone numbers are displayed on your screen, and let us know what you feel concerning any of the story and any other story that is of interest to you. So let's move to other papers. The national economy.
Nigeria to borrow 720 billion naira in second quarter, and we're just hopeful that this money will be channeled in the right places so that we can grow and even thrive. Naira losing value over weak export base, rising import bill. And this is coming from an economist. Says Nigeria's taste for foreign products mounting pressure on Naira. Import bill increased by 2.3 trillion naira in 1 year. Nigeria has become Africa's fertilizer powerhouse. This is coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. FCCPC to commence criminal prosecution of loan sharks. NCC orders MNOs subscribers to comply with SIM registration guidelines. Details can be found in page 5, and that's all on the national economy.
And on the Voice of Liberty, PDP throws open the 2023 presidential tickets. Okay. We have a caller, Prince Will from Iboyi. Good morning. Please go on to it, your contribution. Yeah, hello, please go on with your contribution. Move away from your TV set so you can hear me clearly. Morning. Morning, please go on. Thank you so much for that contribution. Tosin.
And the truth must be said. So thank you so much for this. I want to continue with what you are doing. You are legislating this country through your discussions. May God guide you and protect you and give you the zeal and the strength to continue what you are doing. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
God bless you too. Actually, everybody, it's really, whoever is at the fair of affairs should rise up to the responsibility, because if we have given you that responsibility, then we will hold you accountable if you do not do what is expected of you at the end of the day. So we're just hoping. We're still hopeful. We will not lose hope in Nigeria, because this is the only country we have. We don't have anywhere to run to. We have to defend our fatherland at the end of the day. So I just hope we'll do the right thing. Well, other stories still on the Voice of Liberty. Kaduna terror attack. Tinubu visit El Rufai, donates 50 million naira to victims of the train attack. Nigeria's total debt could hit 50 trillion naira, and this is a report. The federal government 1.3 trillion naira electricity intervention fund didn't produce desired result. This is coming from Zainab Ahmed. And a big story on 2023. INEC reveals why parties may not participate in election. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has offered reasons why political parties may be barred from nominating candidates for the general election in 2023. Recall that the presidential and the National Assembly election will be held on Saturday, February 25th, 2023, while the governorship and the state assembly election comes up on Saturday, March 11, 2023. Well, if you're interested in that story, you can look it up on the Voice of Liberty. Kaduna escalating insecurity. Gunmen attack military base, kill 11 soldiers, 3 vigilantes, and 19 are injured. And the internal security. Nigerian Army reviews national security architecture to fight terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping. This is coming from the COAS. And the last story here, Amechi may declare interest to run for presidency on Saturday. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed concerning that. And that's all from the Voice of Liberty.
On Vanguard newspaper, Igbo not cost. Okorocha fires back at Pastor Bakare. On anti-grazing law, Amotekun soldiers clash over arrest of cows in Ondo. 9 days after train attack, whereabouts of 141 passengers still unknown. Nigerians' public debt to rise above 50 trillion naira. The big story says shock as terror attack on army base claim 17 soldiers. 40 injured. Terrorists raise 3 armored vehicle, seize arms. And Saru terrorists taxing, kidnapping people in Birnin Gwari Emirate. And this is coming from BEPU. Terrorists aiming to paralyze Nigeria, says the Chief of Army Staff. Adds security architecture being reviewed to bridge gap and bolster fighting will of troops. IPOB not criminals to be granted amnesty. Kanu's brother tells
Okay,
Soludo.
sorry, Joseph. We have a caller, Isaac from Kaduna. Good morning, Isaac. Please go on with your contribution. Okay, I think we lost that caller. Please go on, Joseph.
Kyari rallies Nupeng NATO. Others support to tackle crude oil theft. And Nigerians' problem, Obasanjo others needed to be consulted for way forward. This is coming from Governor Okowa. 67-year-old man prevented from jumping into Lagos Lagoon on his birthday. Sele, depression is real. People are going through a whole lot. That's why as individual, we should try within us to put smiles on people's faces, uplift people's spirit. You see, people are downcasted. People are going through a whole lot. So in as much as possible, just put smile on people's face, because I wonder why you would choose a beautiful day like this on your birthday to go and commit this kind of suicide. But thank God that he was sane, and he's going through some kind of checkups now to know what he's going through. The country is enough to even make people depressed. So even if you see people even close to you, just try put smiles on people's faces.
Hello, Isaac, thank you for calling us back. Go on with your contribution. Okay, please let's go on.
Still on the Vanguard newspaper, on 2023 presidency, Autumn's committee throws PDP tickets open. Attack on one Nigerian, attack on all, says Tinubu in Kaduna. Still on 2023, workers' masses will determine fate of presidential other aspirant. This is coming from the Labour Congress. INEC warns parties against violation of Electoral Act's election guidelines. And that's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
A look at the Nation paper. IG fires 9 policemen over planned strike. Okay, hello, Priest from Benway. Good morning, and please go on with your contribution.
Good morning.
Morning, please go on. Okay, I hope you call us back, please, because we'd love to hear what your contributions are. Still on the Nation newspaper, NIN SIM leakage, angry subscriber besiege enrollment centers, and detail of that can be found on page 8 of the Nation newspaper. Massive promotion in customs service. Agi mother Omesori asks Soyinka to react comments, to retract his comments, and detail of that can be found on page 5. And NNPC seek joint battle against crude oil theft. You can read more of that story on the Nation newspaper. And the big story here says 2023 presidential ticket, PDP to Jefferson zoning, with the rider Autumn lead 37-man panel recommend open race. And best to take power for party, says Wike. And Fayose said, I'm in race for president. Saraki pro-consensus group meet Makinde. And on terrorism, we have terrorist attack military base in Kaduna, the defense headquarters. It's unconfirmed. Well, we'll still be hoping that that will be confirmed. And we have El-Rufai Tinubu seeks stiffer action against bandits and terrorists. If enemies of peace and progress think they can deter us as a nation, we must together stand against them and say no. And actually, we really need to stand together. And another story here we have, Lai Mohammed asks Kwara defectors to rethink. And the last story here we have 2 security men killed. Detail of that story can be found on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all from the Nation newspaper.
On New Telegraph, on insecurity, investors express doubts over 2023 election as FDI faces huge threats. DMO releases 720 billion naira second quarter borrowing plan. Senate extends 2021 budget execution to May 31st, 2022. Approves creation of Health Education Practitioners Board. Details can be found in page 3. The Governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, we must get right leadership in 2023. Carry 6 Nupeng NATO, other support to tackle crude oil theft. Kanu's brother to Soludo, IPOB not criminals, to be granted amnesty. On 2023 presidency, it's open contest for aspirants in PDP. As party throws tickets open to 6 geopolitical zones, zoning committee adopted arrangements to avoid discontent among party members. It's morally wrong to continue as member. This is coming from Fayoshe. So far, 13 aspirants have purchased party's 40 million naira form. We won't monitor illegitimate primaries. This is coming from INEC concerning the 2023 election. Says non-compliance with Electoral Act a nullity, taking raise issues of fair participation for women. 17 soldiers feared killed, 19 injured as bandits invade army camp in Kaduna. Embrace peace or we'll get you, General Yaya warns terrorists. FCTA to demolish illegal settlements around rail stations and airports. The Labour Congress ASU strike, patriotic way to reposition education sector. Details can be found in page 3 of the New Telegraph newspaper, and a study here which links
the Trust newspaper have cost clear for Atiku, Saraki, others as PDP committee throws race open. Secrecy pledges MDA's revenue spending as open treasury portal shuts down. Detail of that story can be found on page 12. And the big story here on insecurity, act now, elders tell Buhari. Nigeria never had it this bad. This is coming from Oyinyika and Kwande. And another rider here, 15 soldiers, 2 civilians, 3 vigilantes killed in Kaduna. Bandits can be wiped out in 6 months. This is coming from ex-generals. And we are reviewing our tactics. This is coming from the army. And we can actually see a picture story here of the military equipment that was born during the attack. And it's really, really a sad one. Now, we hope that the army will actually really review their tactics, because we need to take tough measures on terrorism. And another story still on the Daily Trust newspaper. And with RFI, we have to eliminate terrorists. This is coming from Tinubu. And fake workers have infiltrated the IPPIS platform. The federal government cries out. And on 2023, we will bar parties that violate the Electoral Act. This is coming from INEC. Insists on June 3rd deadline. And exercise must be conducted in the constituencies. And you can read more of that story on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And that's all from the Daily Trust newspaper.
On Business Standard, highway to polymer bitumen hits a snag. FY23 budget need for expansion, but government opts for contraction. And opposition MPs berate minister for price hike. That's all on the Business Standard newspaper.
Thank you so much, Tosin, for doing this. It makes a pleasure always having you here with me.
Thank you, Stella.
And I wish you a blessed weekend, or not really a weekend, actually, we're in the midweek, right? Yeah. So we wish you a blessed Wednesday. And to our viewers, thank you so much for keeping a date with us again. Until we come your way again tomorrow, do have a beautiful day ahead, and may the Lord bless you. That's